It's a great day. My name is Che Brown, the Happy Entrepreneur, and welcome to the Happy Entrepreneur Show, the number one business development and revenue focused late night show in the country where we are on a mission. And our mission really is to inspire, our mission is to empower, and our mission is to provide you, that's right, you, the hardworking entrepreneur, with all of the resources that are necessary to execute that big vision you have for the people you were called to serve. And on this episode, we have the one and only Paula Burch Jackson. She's in the building. She'll be talking about mindset makeover from shadows to shine. What's going on, Paula? How are you?
Hello, Shay Brown. Thank you for having me here on today. I'm so excited to be here with you.
Well, I'm excited to be here with you as well. And I don't get a chance to meet many folks, but I've had a chance to have eye to eye contact with you. So it's pretty cool to be here and having this conversation on this side. So thanks for being here. I know we're talking about mindset maker. Take a moment, and when you had a subtitle, first question really is, why are folks struggling with having the right mindset these days? There's more books written than, I don't know, you can shake a stick at these days. They can certainly go to Audible. They can turn on their Instagram or TikTok, and any given day get a jolt of energy. Yet they're still struggling with having the right mindset. What's holding people back these days? I know it's a loaded question, but I'm just curious. Why are we talking about this today?
It's funny that you would name all the different things that we have assets to. And I think that is the very thing that's also stopping people from or causing people to have a challenge with our mindset because there are so many different schools of thoughts out there and people have assets. Our kids have assets. The world have access to everybody's opinion about something. And so when you go out there, I mean, just the other day, I went to get to my chiropractor to get my back stretched, right? And I was telling her about a diet that my doctor, my primary care doctor, has me on. Well, she challenged that whole diet because everybody has a opinion about something. So it leaves people confused and people are no longer able to tap into who are you and what's your truth, and finding out what works best for you. In my opinion, there's no wrong or right answer. It's all about what works for you. And so, but with all the schools of thoughts, TikTok, all those places, Facebook, Instagram, everybody has an opinion. So now I think it's clouded our minds. Yeah.
So how do we know who to trust? I mean, do we just trust our own opinion? Do we flip a coin and say, well, today I'm trusting my chiropractor, which I gotta go to chiropractor. My wife goes to chiropractor. I get that jam, by the way. Or do I trust my own opinion? Or do I trust, going to WebMD? This is not a conversation about medical doctors and medical questions, ladies and gentlemen. It's a framing conversation that if you have that many multiple sources with multiple opinions, from a mindset perspective, do you just rely on your own intuition, or let's find out what Paula recommends?
That is actually what I rely on, my intuition. And whenever I'm faced with a lot of different opinions, sometimes I just have to sit with it, Shay, and just pause and just really figure out what resonates well with me, what works right for me. And sometimes that may even require that I just try some different things and find out which best suit me. Sometimes it would just require just thinking stuff through. I like to ask a lot of questions. I've been that way my whole entire life. My mom calls me the why child because life needed to make sense. So when I have a lot of these questions, I ask myself the question and I think it through. What makes sense? And a lot of the stuff that is being put out there, don't it's not logical. It does not make common sense. And so just sit with it. Don't be quick, but definitely always trust your intuition. It has
Mm,
never wrong.
I like that. Trust your intuition. So for the person that's watching right now and it says, she has from shadows to shine, Shay. What's that about?
Oh
Why
my
that
goodness.
subtopic? Can you please explain that, please?
So we all have. I was watching a video not too long ago, and it came up on TikTok or Instagram or one of those shows, and it was a little girl that discovered her shadow, and she was running from her shadow, and her shadows frightened her. And as I was watching that, I thought about we all have shadows. We have the natural shadows that we see when we go out in the different shades of light, but we also have internal shadows, things that we deal with that we have been told or trained to believe that those parts of us were bad, that they were negative, and we shouldn't do that. For example, anger. growing up as a child was considered a bad thing for us to do. And if we, as kids, when we're told no, we can't have something, we fall out, we get angry about it. If you lived in my household, my mom had a unique way of dealing with our temper tantrum, and it wasn't very pleasant to us. So we would get a spanking. And I didn't want to get the spanking. So rather than dealing with my shadow or dealing with the anger, I began to suppress that. So the shadows are the natural parts of us that we've been trained to suppress rather than teaching us how to deal with it. And so being at my age now, I all of a sudden, Shane, I'm like, I can go from 0 to 100. And I'm like, where is that coming from? And I would have these emotional outbreaks, and I had to trace where that came from. What is the root? What is the seed of that? That when this trigger happens in my life, why am I responding that way? So I had to have some truth with myself, right? And so actually it was at my son's house. It was a pitiful moment, pivotal moment for me because I have a 2-year-old grandbaby. And her dad, she asked her dad, can she have something? I can't remember what it was. And he told her no. Well, she had a temper tantrum. She didn't want to be told no. So she fell out and she was crying. And my son walks over to her. He kneels down beside her and he says, patient, you can't have it now. You can have it later, but you can't have it now. Okay. And she says, okay, daddy. He says, patience. Okay. She says, okay. But she's still crying. So he says to her, now breathe. And that little 2-year-old baby, that was the cutest thing. She started saying, and it was like an aha moment for me because what he was doing is teaching his daughter how to deal with her anger. He didn't want her to suppress it. She had a right to feel what she felt. And so he taught her how to channel that emotion. So even now, when she have an outburst, I would say, okay, Annalie, breathe. And she'll still do. And so that's an example of what I call a shadow. So again, it's those natural parts of us that rather than allowing to feel the way we feel in that moment and chasing that emotion, we've been told to suppress it. So now we got all of these parts. And until we embrace all of us, then we're rejecting all of us because anger is a natural emotion. Fear is a natural emotion. And all of these things are natural. But so I call them our shadows, those things that lurks on the outside, lurks behind us that we don't want to address because we haven't been taught to address those things. And so it
Ah, the big
controls all
smile of being a grandma. Look at you, look at you, look at you. That was the cutest thing in the world. She's okay. She'll be just fine. My mom would have jacked
that.
me up. But I
Right.
love the way it's done these days. As a GPA, I do understand. I'm like, hey, it's just fine. What do you want? You want ice cream? Is that what you want? No worry. You should be just fine. I'm just joking. I'm just
Right.
joking. But on the other side, as we talked about how to control our anger, what do you say to the person that's watching? It's like, you know what? What does she say when you have a mindset about breaking through fear that you really have? There's some folks
Mhm.
on here, about 70% of our audience are dualpreneurs. They work a full-time job and they're a full-time entrepreneur. They also take care of their husband or they take care of their wife, or they take care of their significant others. They're responsible for their kids and their kids have schedules. So they've juggling a lot. And by the way, they're involved in their community or in their church. They've got a lot going on. They're like, you know what? I want to go for it more, but I'm fearful that I may drop one of the balls that I have in the air because so many people are dependent on me. Now, I know this is a loaded question, Paula, but I'm confident she's going to have a response, ladies and gentlemen. What do you say to that person that's already got so much going on, but they're like, Paula, I'm fearful. I want to go more. I know I can, but I got so many priorities, and I want to have the right mindset. I believe I can do more. What do you recommend to them? Should they just pause right now and not take on anymore? What do you say to those folks having the right mindset? And again, it's a very broad question. I know some of you have real responsibilities. It's ties your time, so I don't want you to think it's a bad thing. But you get the
Mhm.
point I'm making. Take it away. What do you say to the person who's overwhelmed now?
So I think we need to really pay attention to what we're paying attention to. Is all those things that are on your plate something that you must take care of? Is there not something on your plate that you can delegate? How many things that you're doing that is actually your responsibility versus you're just taking it on because you don't know how to say no? So you have to be honest with yourself and have that conversation with yourself and find out what is it that I can give away and then delegate, give it to someone else. What is it that I can put on the backside because it's not really a priority? I can maybe put this on hold. So they're really going to have to do some prioritizing, some goal setting, and then put those in priority order because everything can't be your number one priority. And I would say because life is so short, Figure out what works best for you, what makes you happy, what makes you jump out of bed and full of energy, and prioritize that stuff. And I get it, it's very fearful, but feel the fear and do it anyway. Jump and develop your wings on the way down. You can't do it all. So prioritize, what is it that I can't give this away. No one else can take care of this. I have to do this. You hold on to those things, but then those things that are less priority are things that someone else can do. Be okay with trusting someone else to take care of it. It'll be okay. You can't do it all, but you have to make sure that you prioritize yourself, because your health will then depend on that. Because if you keep overwhelming yourself, then you're going to wear yourself out, and then you're no good for anybody or anything.
I
Did
love
I
it.
answer?
They're listening and that was a great answer. And they're like, well, who is this person speaking, Shay? What's her backstory? I like what she's saying. Like the story about her granddaughter. I love some things she's been through. Even going to a chiropractor. She's taking care of herself. That's all cool. But who is her? Who is Paulette? What is her backstory, Shay? Slow down. I didn't read her bio. Someone's already read your bio. So they're already on your page. They've Googled you. They got an idea who you are. But there are a number of folks that don't know who you are. So take a moment, if you would, tell us, who are you? That'd be pretty cool. And then what was that defining moment that you decided that helping folks shift their mindset and that have the right mindset to get what they want out of life was going to be your jam?
Mhm. So I am, in the words, Paula Burch Jackson. That is who I am, right? But I will say, and this is true story, in kindergarten, this is who I was, right? I've never, and I'm embracing this part of me, I've never thought the way people thought. I never saw things the way people saw things. I always thought very differently for people. And life for me has always needed to make sense. So, like I've said, I've always asked a lot of questions. I'm that girl that if I don't understand something, okay, then where can I go learn? I got a license to do life insurance because I didn't understand it, and I got tired of so many people coming. So I went to take some classes to understand that. Didn't understand the real estate world, so I went and got my real estate license because I wanted to understand that. So I went, anything I'm not sure of, I learned. Well, this passion for people that I've always had, it was like, to me, I'm also a child of God. My faith is Christianity, and I love people. And I actually think or believe that there is something good in everybody. And I know that most of the world don't think like that, but I do. Sometimes we just have to look for the good in people because we're also products of our environment. So I went to school, I went to Bible college, and I got a bachelor's in leadership and administration. And then I went to get my master's in human services with an emphasis on life coaching because I wanted to be able to help people understand themselves. And so that passion, my ministry, and all those things have always allowed me to just look at people, and I say through the eyes of God, and to see the divinity in everybody, because there is something unique about each and every last one of us. There's something, Shay, that God has called you to do, and you're the only person who can do that. Sometimes you cannot see that because I say like this: we got blinders on. I'm too close to myself, so I can't see it. So sometimes I have to step back and let somebody like a Paula Burch Jackson help me to see on the other side. I'm not my story. I'm so much more than that. And so the beautiful thing about being a coach is that we dig through those layers and we get to the seed of when my authenticity began to fade away. It began to fade away because of those shadows in my life. And so that is who I am. I am a person who love and value people. And I believe that that's my ultimate calling. When I was in school for leadership and administration, we were required to take a coaching class, and I'm sitting in this class and I'm like this, and just my professor says, "Why are you looking like that?" And I'm like, "Cause that is a thing." And literally, I started doing that in kindergarten. When I got to kindergarten, I couldn't understand why little Billy next to me didn't understand what 1 + 1 is 2. I didn't understand why he couldn't get the CAT is cat. It didn't make any sense to me. That it just made sense to me. So you know what I did? I took time to help little Billy understand what that means, to help him rationalize that. I don't know how I did it, but even in kindergarten, by the time I was in second grade, my second grade teacher, she's still with us today, and she always tells this story. She says, we used to have meetings about Paula. She says, because you were so different. She said, they showed me something and I got it, right? And they started using me in the second grade to help other kids who could not understand. So some of the kids who were a little bit slower picking stuff up, I would just have a creative way of helping them get it. Can't understand the shade. It's a natural part of who I am, and now I'm embracing all of that. right? And using it for my purpose. It's part of my purpose to help everyone see the good in them because there is there. We just have to sometimes dig for it. That's, yeah,
And we can see the big smile on your face. We can see it light up when you talk about it. I was going to ask
yeah.
you what some of your affirmations are, but if we're sneaking a peek over your shoulder, you've got a lot of them right there behind you on the wall. And there's one that we can see clearly that says dance to your own rhythm.
To
Um,
your
Take a
rhythm.
moment and talk about what it is. 'Cause I think I read it right. If I didn't, you read it back to him. And then why that one's hanging up on your wall. I could have picked any of them, but that's just right over your shoulder. We can see it just right there. And we're just
That's
curious.
like dance your own shadow. That one asks, I mean, rhythm. Sorry, dance your own rhythm. That means that what is your purpose? What is it that moves you? Dance to your own music. Shay's music not going to work for me. I have my own rhythm. Sometimes when you learn how to dance, especially when you're learning how to dance, the two step may not work for everybody. Okay, well then find your own rhythm and then do what works for you. Don't try to step into Paula's shoes because they may not fit. Dance in your own shoes, dance to your own rhythm, do that thing that makes you happy. And because sometimes we spend a lot of times looking out, sometimes we have to look in at him, at her, and then dance to her own music, get her own little rhythm going, and just dance with her, love her at your own pace, at your own speed. Just be you, be true to who you are.
Mm. I love that. I have two left feet, by the way, so you don't want to know what I do.
You
But I love it, by
dance.
the way. I couldn't resist that. I couldn't resist that one. What now? You have some other ones behind you, and if someone's thinking, "Hey, Shay, what's one, two, or three affirmations that she would share for someone like myself?" And let me ask the question so you get the question first. The question really is, what do you say to folks to be consistent? You may have heard this before. Consistency is the key. Consistency is the key. Consistency is the key. And having said that, what do people struggle with most? It's
Mhm.
consistency. Ladies and gentlemen, I got two hands raised, okay? So I'm not here throwing rocks. And so I'm curious, what do you share to folks to have the right mindset so they can be consistent? And if they get off track, it's a two-part question, ladies and gentlemen. She can handle it. So if they get off track, what do you share to them to kind of get back on track again?
Mhm. Most of the people that I talk to, unfortunately, the biggest thing that most people challenge with is their finances. And so I have an affirmation that my husband and I say every day. I have a money affirmation, but I also use this affirmation for whatever I'm trying to create in my life because you are the creator of your life. You have the power to create any outcome that you want. So when we were looking for money, our money affirmation that I often share with people is this one. I am so happy and grateful now that money comes to me, or whatever it is that you need, it comes to me in increasing quantities through multiple sources on a continuous basis. I have the wallet of the spirit. It will never be depleted. Money goes out and immediately money comes back in. It's jammed, crammed, packed, and running over by God's grace and on a perfect way. Now, most people struggle with money. So that's when I give them when we're talking about money. Say it on a consistent day, every day. I'm planning your financial situation will change. Those of us who are entrepreneurs, that's our biggest concern. Where the money gonna come from? Then you have the power with your mouth to create it. Another thing leads me to the second affirmation is that watch the words that come out of your mouth because every word that comes out of your mouth has power and you are creating your outcomes whether you believe it or not. And so be careful, guard your mouth with all due diligence because you are creating and your emotions listen to what you leave up here. So guard those thoughts because, again, what you think about, you bring about. So those are the number ones that I make sure I hold on to every day. I am that I am, and understand that everything that follows that I am, you have the potential to become. So guard your words well.
I love it. I love it. We have a segment here. There's probably a perfect segue called "Today is my January 1st." Now, for those folks that know what I'm about to do, you can go ahead and smile. You can go ahead and say those words right now. I know you wait 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every night. You get to release and say, "Today is my January 1st." Happy New Year to you, by the way. And for all the new folks who are tuning in for the very first time, we want to welcome you to the Happy Entrepreneur Show. Today is my January 1st is our personal mantra. It represents a fresh start. It represents a do-over. It means our past, no matter how dark and gloomy that past is or how bright and sunny that past is, the past no longer equals the future. And so my question to Paulette on the other side is that two parts. One, when you hear those words, today is my January 1st. What are you hearing? What are you hearing? And number two, what was a moment you had in your life where there was a setback and you had to bounce back from it? And what lessons did you learn?
Okay. Today is my January 1st, means I get to start over afresh, anew. Everything that happened in yesteryear, like you said, it is behind me. So I'm going to release the fears of my past. I'm going to stay right here in this moment because everything I need is in the now. And so I'm going to take that and run with it. And this my new year. So thank you for giving me that, Shay. And then the setback that I have had was in 2006 when I was married to my children's father. He instantly passed away, and I became instantly a widow and a single parent after being married for 20 years. At 39 years old, my husband passed away. And so I had to reset. I had a choice in that moment. I could choose to have a pity party and say, always me. Why is it happening to me? Or I could say, Paula, it's called life. You need to live. You've got two kids to live for, so you have a choice to make. And so I made the choice to live. I gave myself a moment to cry. I did through my grief, and I remember saying to myself, okay, you've been at this mountain long enough, probably about a week or two. You've got two little ones. They were teenagers, depending on you. Now go be an example. I had walked the walk of faith. I told you I was a minister. So now you know that death is inevitable. So now you get to choose what are you going to do. So I put my big girl pants on and I just went to work. I went to work being there for my kids, focusing on myself. I took off the whole summer with them to make sure that they were okay and to make sure I knew what I needed to do to make sure I was okay as well. Went back to work in August. When I got back to work, I had a huge setback. My supervisor, who said he was a therapist before, he did not believe that the stress of my job and the position I was in and the grief of being married for 20 years and instantly a widow was a great match. So he told me that he was going to put me on a new position, a position that was at a lower grade, but then he promised he wouldn't take my money. But having worked in HR for several years, I knew that he did not have that authority. And so I said, no, this is not going to work for me. So I told him I came back to work too soon and I hit the reset button on my life. I walked back and I said, okay, God, you brought me to this. You're going to bring me through this. I'm not going back to that place. So I don't know what we're going to do. At the end of that prayer, I said, my phone rang and it was another job offer just like that. So at that moment, I understood that there was nothing in my life that I could not face and overcome. And so even with that, both of my kids ended up going to the college of their choice. They're doing well. My daughter lives in California. My son is here. He's a father. He's a youth pastor. He's doing his thing. And that is my biggest joy. And you know what my son said to me? He says, Mom, what blessed me about you is that we never saw you sweat. Now, did I sweat? Oh, yeah. Was I afraid? Absolutely. But I had to feel the fear and do it anyway. I was not going to waddle in self pity. I said to myself, Shay, that life will always be hard, right? I have to choose my heart. So my heart was feeling sorry for myself or getting up and doing something about it. Both of them was hard. So I chose my heart. I chose to get up and just press my way through. Every day was a press and I'm still pressing. But in 2014, thank God I married again and still pressing. But life is a journey, so no matter what you come to, if you just stay focused, you can overcome it. It's just
Mm.
called life. I guess because it's called the game of life and learning how to play it. And when I play, I'm always playing to win.
What do you enjoy most about what you're doing now? You're so authentic. Thanks for sharing. And we could go a lot deep into the story, but I haven't experienced it. But thanks for sharing it and being authentic. What do you enjoy most about what you're doing now?
I love making people see themselves through my eyes. I've coached several women to entrepreneurship. And when they tell me, Paula, I made up my mind, I'm getting ready to quit that job, and they walk out on faith and to see them thriving in their business. I'm also a real estate agent, Shay. And when I find that person, who was seeking to buy a home, and I put those keys in their hands for the first time and see them light up. I just look, that brings me joy. Helping other people just brings me so much joy. I am a people person, and just putting smiles on people. Now, sometimes Shay, people will say, as women, we always want to save the world, and I'm like, and what's wrong with that? What's wrong
Right.
with that? Right? And so I'm embracing even that, because there's nothing wrong with me saving the world, one person at a time.
Well, I appreciate your energy. I love that you have this drive not only to make yourself better, make everyone else around you better. And one of my favorite questions to ask when I get time, and I have time today, is of all the mentors you had, what's one of the best pieces of advice you've ever been given? And I like to frame it for the audience that she's had a lot of mentors. She's read countless books. She's got a lot of affirmations behind her, by the way. Who knows how many videos and YouTube videos and reels she's watched in her lifetime? Maybe a million by now. Who knows? But if she had to step back and say, you know what, Shay, this is one of the best pieces of advice I've ever been given, what would it be? That's number one. And why?
That is it. You know what? I would have to say, because that's a loaded question right there. And that's a loaded question because I've had so many. But I think Wayne Dyer comes to mind. And Wayne Dyer says, if you change the way you look at things, the way you see things change. And that started me on a journey of emotional intelligence, really, because now, whenever I look at life, regardless of what it is, I consider how it's making me feel. And when I feel anything other than joy, love, peace, happiness, I own it. And I'll say to myself, Paula, why do you feel that way? Why do you see it that way? And then when I'm being honest with myself, the way I see things starts to change. And so that has always been I always look for the good in a situation is what that statement says to me. And I think that has been a life change for me. Him and also Eckhart Tolle, who talks about nothing ever happens outside to now. So stay present, stay in this moment. Those are the two things that I live my life on. Staying present. The things that we're worried about is not happening right now. So get present. There's so much in the now. So those two things actually. I know you asked me for one, but those are the two things that I hang my hat on.
What do you do
Yeah.
for fun these days?
What I do for fun. So we just put a pool in the backyard.
All right
And
now.
then I love walking. I do walk runs. But of course, I know you already know about it. Let the secret out the bed. I love spending time with my grandbaby. That is my joy. We were playing hide and seek earlier today. I just love the energy that she has, and she's keeping me young. But that is my joy. I love family. I hang around with the family and taking trips with them. So I take a trip at least once a quarter. Go somewhere. We're getting ready to go to Punta Cana, and so yeah, just
Oh,
enjoying
that's
life.
kind of cool. What's one of your favorite places to go since you love to travel? I'm just curious. I mean, we're all nosy. You can't leave us on the edge. You say I like to travel, and now everybody's like, what's one place you like to travel to, Shay, and why? We want to know. We want to know.
Listen, I'm not anywhere there's blue water. I, I, I love blue water. I love the beach. Yep.
Yeah, I love the
Uh,
beach too. That's wonderful. As we come down the home stretch, a two-part question. First, thanks for being on the Happy Entrepreneur Show. But the two-part question is number one, what type of clients are you looking to work with these days, if any? I'm not sure if your firm is booked or not. And number two, how can folks best connect with you? How can they stay in this conversation over and beyond the time that you and I have right now?
So people can. I like to work with women. My target audience is really women 35 and up. But I also have some male clients, and they hate when I say that's my target audience. But my target audience is women 35 and over, particularly more so 40, those who have reached a place in their life like I did in mine, is when I looked at my life and I said, oh my God, there has to be more to life than this. That I was going through the motions of doing what I had to do and not what I wanted to do. So there are some of us, we've just fallen into these positions, we've fallen into these jobs, we've fallen into these places in our lives, and we're really depleted. We're on what I call nearing the second half of our life, and we know that there's so much more that we have to give. We know that there's so much that we have to receive, and we're just ready to launch out in the deep, to go into those uncharted waters, to discover just who I really am so that I can become my authentic self and learn how to live and embrace your truth. So if that is you and you're ready for the what next in your life, I am the coach for you.
Thanks so much for being on the Happy Entrepreneur Show. We appreciate it. Can't wait to see you again and have you back on the show.
Thank you. And so my website is coachpbj.com, or you can send me an email at lifecoachpbj@gmail.com. I would love to hear from you.
I'm recommending you all connect with her immediately. With that being said, thank you. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching. We understand without you, the viewers, there is no show. So we appreciate every time you show up. Yes, we love it when you hit the like button, but we really appreciate when you hit the share button. When you share this message, you pay it forward to someone else so their life can be better, their family can be better, and their community can go to a whole nother level. You do that and you make a difference for other folks. I never get tired of reminding you every night at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time that you really are amazing. As you're watching right now, you're already this special world changer. You're this game changer. You're a unique individual. And as you're watching now, no matter what your situation is, today is your January 1st. And because of just that one reason alone, I believe your best is still yet to come. We ain't seen it. Your best is yet to come. Your best yet to come. With that being said, my name hasn't changed. It's still Che Brown, the Happy Entrepreneur. Make it a great day, everyone. And thanks a lot, Paula, for joining. We'll make some good things how we connect again next time. Peace, everybody. We out.
Bye-bye.